Where do I even begin? This book blew me away. I wasn't expecting to be surprised, but hot damn, Bo and Edith surprised me. Before the video really gets started, I linked a helpful wiki page at the top of my description. It helped me while reading the book, and then after while making this video. I really struggled with keeping track of everybody's names and genders in the book because it all is switched, and you would think, oh, because everybody is switched, that would be easier, but their names change too, so you have to it was like reading Twilight for the first time, but it wasn't because I also had all of this extra knowledge of what goes on and what happens and who these characters are. Renee, Phil, and Charlie's, their names did not switch, their gender did not switch. Bo goes and lives with his dad, and Forks, it's very much the same like that. But it was just really hard, and that is why I kept the wiki page nearby, just to help me keep track of everybody. While we're talking about names and genders that didn't change, we need to talk about the Volturi because their names and genders didn't change. However, the history of the Volturi changed, and the Volturi scene is actually where we get to hear about the only original character in this series that exists only in the Life and Death universe and not in the Twilight universe, and that is Melee, who is a guard for the Volturi. She's a vampire, and her gift is that she can steal other vampires' gifts and give it to a different vampire. And so Sulpicia and Athenadora, who are the wives of Arrow and Caius, decide to overthrow Caius and Arrow using Melee's gift to steal Arrow's gift to take them down. And so in this series, Sulpicia, Athenadora, and Marcus are all the leaders because Caius and Arrow were overthrown. I can't remember if they died or not, but it doesn't really matter because they kind of sucked to begin with. I did genuinely love this book, and I hadn't read the first book in a while, so when the story changed, I wasn't overly confused, and that's a big thing. This book changes a few things here and there to fit the story, but then it changes the whole damn story, and that's primarily what I'm going to talk about. In Twilight, Carlisle hunted vampires in London, and that's how he was bitten, but in Life and Death, Corinne's father led a group to hunt vampires and was followed back to her and her father's house, and that is how Corinne was bitten. In Twilight, Esme's husband was killed by Edward, but in Life and Death, Ernest's wife jumps off a cliff holding their baby daughter. Overall, I was once again given the romantic butterflies and the feeling of being extremely single by this book because Edith's and Bo's romance is just so wonderful and cute and all that good, nice bullshit. But there was some key differences. Like in the original books, Edward was taller than Bella, but in these books, Edith is made to look a lot more short and kind of delicate, even though she's a vampire and could crush Bo with just her hand. But he was taller than her, that's what I was getting at. And you could argue that these things are very stereotypical and gender roles and stuff, but I think it was just an honest, switching in the dynamics, where Bella just was so delicate as a female, and Edward was so strong, but it's Edith looks delicate, but Bo's the actual one in danger here, and so I just thought that was cool. I found myself wondering if the series continued on, would some important plot points still take place? There's a second on the beach where I thought they were about to snub Jacob's character, because you don't know this, but Jacob is my favorite character from the original book series, and perhaps one day I'll make a video about why everyone else should love Jacob, but not today, because that would take an hour. But sure enough, Bo and Jules still talk on the beach, and Jules tells Bo about the legends and the Cullens. Also, side note, the women are the wolves in this book, which is really cool. Then it had me thinking, how would the rest of the books play out? Would Edith leave Bo and New Moon the same way? Would Victor, aka Victoria, still raise an army of newborns in Eclipse? And what about Breaking Dawn? It wouldn't be the same because if Edith got pregnant, it wouldn't be like Bella because Bella was screwed in this situation because she was human and Renesmee is an immortal child. So none of that would work the same, would it? All of this speculation and questions were cut off and answered by the end, so now we're going to go into official spoiler territory. You have been warned. So the end is where the differences are key. Laura, aka Laurent, Joss, aka James, and Victor, aka Victoria, entered the baseball field the same way. Joss still catches Bo's scent, goes into full hunter mode. Bo still has to push Charlie away so he can leave, and Charlie will be protected, and that scene still made me cry with the gender reversed. Bo still goes to the dance studio to meet Joss. Joss still tortures Bo by slowly breaking his bones and bites him. When Edith and the rest of the Cullens come to rescue him, Kreen begins first aid and Edith and Archie help, but Bo is far along, and so it takes him all of his effort to tell them his hand is on fire. I pretty much cried off and on through the rest of the book from this point on. Edith is determined to suck out Joss's venom, but Kreen can see it's too late. Edith has to give Bo, a heartbreaking choice between death and being a vampire. It's really sad because Edith is saying things like, I love you, and if you want to die, we will help you. We will let you go. I will not make this decision for you. I will not selfishly, try to keep you alive because I know you're in so much pain. And it's just awful. It's an awful scene to hear. But Bo chooses to be a vampire and be a part of their family because that's how much Bo loves Edith. And oh my god, I'm incredibly single and I wish I had a special lady in my life. Anyway, Bo has to fake his own death and attend his funeral. And from afar, he attends his funeral, but I also cried through that scene because it's just Charlie and Renee and Phil crying and being sad at his graveside because they think he's dead because he had to fake his death. So basically they decide that because he's a newborn, they're going to stay in Forks and just keep him out in the house and in the forest. And Edith and Archie will attend school until they graduate, and then after they graduate, they will all move somewhere else so Bo can kind of integrate into human society and live like they were, being vegetarian and building a life, probably going to end up in high school again, which would fucking suck. Although I didn't pick up on it, the wiki says that there's an implied romantic thing going on between Bonnie and Charlie, which I'm into. That's great. Let's give Charlie love and support because he really gets fucked over in this book, and we want Charlie to have a happy ending. Bo does have to go meet with Bonnie and be like, hey, the Cullens didn't change me. An asshole changed me. It was an accident. No treaty was broken. Because obviously the wolves would have to retaliate if the treaty was broken, and that would suck. For everybody. So that does happen, and so during that same conversation, Bo says, can you tell Jules one day that I'm not dead, that I'm okay? And Bonnie's like, yeah, sure, in a year or so, I will be able to tell Jules that you're okay. And, because of the rest of the books, we know that in a year or so, Jules will go through werewolf puberty, and that's when Bonnie can be like, hey, also BTW, Bo, who you really enjoyed your time with, he's actually a vampire. By the way, he's our enemy, but he's chill also at the same time, but not really, I don't know. So that's a thing. Jules and Bo will never really have that relationship, which is kind of sad, but you could probably also argue that Bella and Jacob's relationship has a lot of emotional turmoil, and everybody kind of gets hurt in that situation at one point, so, it's all up to your opinion on that situation. I really, really did like this book. I like how it ended. I like the decision to make Bo a vampire at the end. I loved all of that so much. I was kind of sad at first thinking about the timeline and character development and things that just wouldn't happen, but then I realized that rather than thinking of it as losing scenes that are important to me in the other books, I should think about it more as there's a blank timeline now for this story in the future, and that's really fucking exciting. There's still exciting things that could happen, so if Stephanie Meyer wants to write another one, I will be the first in line. That's for damn sure. Thanks for watching my chill Sunday morning video talking about life and death. I really wanted to pull out my try-hard comedy skills in this video, but I just couldn't do it. February really bent me over a table to see how much I could take, and I just couldn't. Emotionally, I'm wrecked after this month. So I'm looking forward to reading a lot of middle grade books next month, and also the next video I'm gonna make, which is just gonna be kind of cheesy and funny, hopefully. I don't know. I can't judge that very well, but follow me on Instagram at CleverHaunts. I do a lot of experimenting over there, just about as much as I do over here. So yeah, I guess that's it.